smell? That warm, yeasty aroma of bread rising in the oven, crisp lettuce, juicy tomatoes, trays of toppings lined up like a rainbow. And behind the counter, a sandwich artist smiling as they asked, "What kind of bread today?" While you built your sub, your way. It felt fresh, custom, effortless, and behind it all stood one name, Subway. For years, it wasn't just a sandwich shop, it was the sandwich shop. A healthier alternative in a world of grease and fryers. A go-to for office workers, athletes, students, and busy parents. From Tokyo to Toronto, Dubai to Detroit, there was always a Subway nearby. And at its height, it didn't just chase McDonald's, it surpassed it. More locations than any other restaurant brand in the world. Over 40,000. But then, almost as quickly as it rose, it started to fall. By the 2020s, the stores were shuttering by the hundreds. Sales were flatlining, customers were disappearing, and a brand that once promised freshness was struggling to stay relevant in a market it once helped define. What happened? How did the world's largest fast food chain lose its crown? This is the story of how a sandwich empire tried to redefine fast food, only to grow too big, too fast, and almost lose everything in the process. Let's rewind to 1965. A 17-year-old kid named Fred DeLuca wanted to become a doctor, but he didn't have the money for college. That's when a family friend, nuclear physicist Dr. Peter Buck, gave him a $1,000 loan and a piece of advice: open a sandwich shop. Together, they launched a little sub-store in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was called Pete's Super Submarines. It wasn't fancy, just bread, meat, veggies, and choice. By 1968, the name changed to Subway, and the idea took off. In an era dominated by greasy burgers and deep fryers, Subway offered something that felt different. Fresh bread, healthier options, and sandwiches made right in front of you. You were in control. You picked the toppings, and it felt, well, personal. From the beginning, Subway embraced an ultra-scalable model. No fryers, no grills, no complicated equipment. That meant cheaper startup costs and fewer operational headaches. If you had a few $1,000s and a dream, you could open a Subway. And people did, in droves. By 1984, there were 500 stores. By 1990, 5,000. By 2000, 15,000. By 2010, over 33,000 locations globally. It was everywhere, in gas stations, airports, hospitals, malls, Walmart lobbies, school campuses, even inside churches. It became a punchline. There's a Subway inside that Subway. But behind the joke was cold, hard truth. Subway had cracked the code. In 2000, a college student named Jared Fogle became an overnight celebrity after claiming he lost over 200 pounds by eating Subway every day. Subway jumped on the story, and just like that, Jared became the unlikely hero of the brand. He wasn't a celebrity, he wasn't an athlete, he was an ordinary guy with an extraordinary story. For over a decade, Jared was Subway. The ads, the posters, the brand identity. He wasn't just selling sandwiches, he was selling hope. That you could eat fast food and still be healthy. That you could change your life without giving up convenience. And people believed it. By the mid-2000s, Subway was unstoppable. It outpaced McDonald's in store count. It was raking in billions in revenue. It was the king of fast casual. And it was riding the cultural wave of health consciousness, low-carb diets, and customer customization. But here's the thing about fast growth. It hides a lot of cracks. And Subway? It had cracks in the walls, in the franchise model, and in the bread. Subway's business model rewarded expansion, not performance. The more franchises they sold, the more money headquarters made, regardless of whether those stores succeeded. There were stories of Subways being opened within blocks of each other, creating self-inflicted competition. Franchisees were drowning. Some were barely breaking even. Others were suing the company. But the corporate office, they kept approving more stores. It was like building a city without planning the roads. Then came 2015, the year the face of the company became its greatest liability. Jared Fogle, the man whose weight loss story had defined Subway for 15 years, was arrested on charges of child pornography and illicit conduct with minors. It was sickening. And for Subway, it was devastating. The public backlash was swift. Critics slammed the brand for ignoring red flags. Employees claimed Subway had been warned years earlier, but failed to act. Overnight, Subway went from wholesome to tainted. And though they quickly severed ties, the damage was done. Jared had been the heart of the brand, and ripping him out left a hole that was hard to fill. By the late 2000s and 10s, customers were noticing something else. Subway didn't taste as good as it used to. The bread felt rubbery. The veggies often looked limp. The meats, processed, thin, bland. People started to wonder, is this really fresh? In 2013, a Canadian media outlet tested Subway's chicken and found it was only 50% chicken DNA. The rest? Soy filler. Then in 2020, an Irish court ruled that Subway's bread had too much sugar to be legally classified as bread. Suddenly, the Eat Fresh slogan didn't hold up. While Subway was resting on its laurels, the food world changed. Chipotle brought fast casual flair with organic ingredients. Panera sold clean labels and cozy vibes. Jimmy John's offered speed and simplicity. Subway looked old. The menu was bloated. The stores felt generic. There was no clear identity, no innovation. And in the age of social media, Uber Eats, and app-driven experiences, Subway felt stuck in 2005. Behind the counter, unrest was growing. Subway's franchisees, thousands of mom-and-pop operators, began to revolt. They were forced to participate in deep discounting campaigns like the $5 footlong, which by 2010 no longer made economic sense. The result? They lost money on every promotion. Some sued, others shut down, and many went public, calling out Subway's leadership for ignoring their pain. After Fred DeLuca passed away in 2015, Subway lost its founder, and with him, its North Star. Leadership became a revolving door. CEOs came and went. Strategic plans shifted with the wind. One year it was kiosks. The next it was Hero Bread. Then came Subway Series, a new lineup of sandwiches that required no customization. The irony? They built their empire on customization. The brand was having an identity crisis, trying to chase trends without knowing what it stood for anymore. The numbers told the story. In 2012, Subway had 27,000 plus stores in the US. By 2023, fewer than 20,000. That's a loss of over 7,000 locations. Sales dropped by nearly $1.5 billion from 2016 to 2021. Customer satisfaction plummeted. Employees complained of poor training and low morale. In 2020, the pandemic was the final punch, forcing more closures and exposing just how fragile the empire had become. Could Subway have been saved? Maybe. It had the reach, the brand power, the customer base. It wasn't doomed by default, but it made 4 fatal mistakes: oversaturation, more stores than demand; quality erosion, freshness became a punchline; failure to innovate, too slow to adapt; franchisee neglect. The very people who built the brand were pushed out. Some blame the internal culture, obsessed with numbers over nourishment. Others say it all went downhill after DeLuca's death. Either way, Subway went from trailblazer to bloated relic. In August 2023, Subway was sold to Rourke Capital, a private equity firm with deep pockets and fast food experience. They also own Dunkin', Arby's, and Jimmy John's. It's a new chapter. Rourke has promised modernization, better food, better service, and franchisee reform. Subway has tested digital ordering lockers, AI sandwich assistants, and smaller, more focused store designs. But can they revive a brand that's been fading for over a decade? Time will tell. This story isn't just about food. It's about ambition, about overreach, about forgetting what made you special in the first place. For millions, Subway was a staple. Quick, convenient, yours. But somewhere along the way, it lost the thread. And in chasing growth, it forgot to protect the roots. Subway may still be alive, but the version we all grew up with, that's crumbling. The good news? If there's one thing we know about food, it can be reimagined. Because in the end, freshness isn't just about what's in the sandwich. It's about what's behind the counter. Let us know. What was your go-to Subway order? And do you still eat there? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.